everyone. My name is Saoirse Madeira, and welcome to my series where I interview people from the media and entertainment industry. My guest today is a voice actor and actor. He is the voice of Binky Barnes, David Reed, and Bailey in Arthur. And he's also done mocap for video games. My guest is Bruce Dinsmore. Hi, Bruce.
Hey, how are you, Saoirse?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
How are you today?
I'm super good, thank you. Monday morning, tackling my week.
Are you ready for your questions?
Absolutely.
How did you get into acting as well as voice acting?
It's funny. I think I have to blame my brother.
Yeah.
Uh, I grew up in Vancouver, and I went to a high school where they had a great drama program. And every year they'd do a musical. And my brother was in the band. He played the saxophone. And one year he tried out for the high school musical. I think it was Guys and Dolls. And I went to see it. He would have been in grade 10. So I would have been, I don't know, in grade 8 or something. And I went and I watched this show, and he had a tiny, tiny little part, but it was amazing. It knocked my socks off. And so I went back the next year and saw the next one. And then when I got older, I auditioned for the school play, and I had always been a bit outgoing and had a gift for the gab, and so I did well, and I got some fun parts that really opened my eyes to theater. And but beyond just the the acting part of it, there was the whole social part of it. The whole, everybody did everything. You helped make the sets, and you learned about costumes, and so just that kind of I don't know, club-like feeling was really addictive. So that was where it all first started.
And how about the voice acting part?
You
And
know,
also, sorry, but what I mean is like
no, no.
as well as like properly getting into the acting business.
Yeah, well, it's strange. I was again, because theater was something that was really appreciated in this particular school. In my last year, uh, my drama teacher was actually a working professional composer in the theater scene in Vancouver, British Columbia, in Canada, where I grew up. So he brought in a lot of people to work with us, and our last show of that year was a show called, I'm sure you've heard of it, Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah.
I played the role of Tevye, if you can imagine a 16-year old boy trying his hardest to be a, a, a heavy set European man. Anyway, it was an amazing experience. But the man who directed that show for us went on to start a professional Shakespeare festival in Vancouver. And so I got cast in that, mostly because I could sing, not because of my not because of my acting ability at that moment. And I met all kinds of people in the professional theater community, and I became an equity member, and I went on to work with that festival again. So at 17, 18, I was lucky enough to have kind of stepped through the side door into the professional theater scene in Vancouver. But I decided that I needed more training as an actor. So I came to where I live now, to Montreal, to go to the National Theatre School here in Canada. And so to answer your question in a really long way, that's the start of professional acting in Vancouver, then coming to Montreal. And when I graduated from theater school here in Montreal, the very first professional gig, the very first time I was hired, a gentleman came, a filmmaker came to see the show that my class did, and he enjoyed it, and he asked all the men to audition to be the narrator for his film. It was a film called Siddhartha. It was about a man from Quebec who went to India on a spiritual quest, and he was looking for an English narrator. He had already narrated it in French, And so I got the gig of narrating this film. So that was my first kind of step into voice
Voice
acting.
acting.
Yeah.
How did you get how did you get involved with Arthur?
So you know what? There was this amazing company in Montreal in the 90s called Cinar.
Sinner.
Yeah. Yeah. And they had their issues later on. The company got embroiled in some drama, and it all kind of disintegrated, which was a shame because they were doing amazing things and they were so busy. They had live action shows, they had all kinds of animated shows, and I was lucky enough to be working on a few of them. So Arthur was just, it was an addition. It was a call out of the blue. I remember I was actually golfing with a friend of mine. And this is back in the day. We didn't have cell phones. This would have been like
Or not as
90.
good internet.
Not, yeah, no, not at all. And we weren't accustomed to using the internet to communicate. We wouldn't have sent an email. We would have called an agent. So we finished he was an actor as well, and we finished our round of golf and we stopped for a bite to eat. And I remember, for younger listeners who might not even know what that is, stopping at a payphone. So I stopped at a payphone, and back in the day, you'd call your own number to get your messages. So I got this message from my agent saying, "Oh, you've been cast in Arthur." And at the time, of course, you had no idea that it would be something that would last for 25 years and bring so much joy to so many people. So it was just another like, oh, great, I got the part moment.
Had
So
you read the books before you got the part?
I had not. I had never heard of Mark Brown. I had never heard of Arthur. Um, in fact, it took me a few years to realize that Binky was a bulldog. So
That's what he is?
there you go. You see, you're in the same boat as me. Yep, Binky is a bulldog.
What is it like working with the other voice actors? I.e. Daniel Broker. Is that how you say his last
No,
name?
Brochu.
Brochu. Daniel Brochu, Melissa Altro, Arthur Holden, etc. What is
Uh,
it working with them?
they're they're wonderful. That, back in the day when we first started, we would all be in a giant recording studio together,
Yeah.
and there'd be, like, let's say 10 music stands set up, and we'd all have the script, and we would go through, we'd have a read from start to finish, and then we'd break it down and we'd start recording. So if you weren't in the next 4 or 5 scenes, you could leave the room, and that's how we started. And it was so family like and fun, and it took a long time. It was a longer process. Now, again, with the internet, with technology, when we record, it's very rare that a director is in even the same city, let alone the same studio as us. So we go in, we just do our lines, and it's bang bang bang, and you're out, and you kind of only have, not that this isn't contact with another person, but you don't get to sit and chat and catch up. And so with Danny and Arthur and Melissa and Jody and all those wonderful people, you'd get to catch up and find out what was going on in their lives and what they were up to and what their projects were. And so, yeah, I miss that. I miss connecting with, you know, Arthur, who plays uh,
Mr.
Mr. Ratburn,
Ratburn.
is also a really accomplished playwright. His wife is a novelist. He's a brilliant guy, and he's just a treat to sit and chat with. So I miss that about our recording sessions. We don't often get the chance to just sit and catch up and laugh and be silly with one another.
What was your favorite song on the show to sing?
Do you know that we all sang backup
Yes, I
on
do. I do.
on the theme song?
I do.
So the theme song, I mean, that's just a great tune, right? I mean, so that was, but I think for Binky in particular, it has to be Nightlight. Do you remember Nightlight?
I've never really listened to it. Sorry.
No?
I guess I'll have to when this
Uh,
is over.
well, yeah, it's just so absurd. Okay, from memory, it's my nightlight glowing in my wall socket. It's just hilarious to me, this like massive intimidating bully guy being afraid of the dark. So Nightlight is probably my favorite Binky tune.
This question isn't on my sheet, but what was it like recording Leftovers Goulash?
Ah, that's Dad, right?
Yeah.
Leftovers goulash. Um, really fun because Dad for me was, because he's so close to, I mean, he's the dad voice is just basically my voice.
Yeah.
And I had kids later, so it took me a long time to identify with Dad. So anytime Dad got to do something fun, like Leftovers Goulash, I really appreciated it. That was a fun tune.
I can actually relate to Arthur's dad in one way.
How so?
I really enjoy cooking.
Oh, good. Nice. Leftovers Goulash, yeah. Uh, if you can make culinary art from the bibs and bobs in a fridge, you're onto something. You're a master.
Who is your favorite guest star that appeared on Arthur?
That's pretty easy. Um, can you guess which one my favorite is?
Mr.
Would you have a
Rogers?
guess? Yeah, yeah, that was it. it I think it was kind of at that point we were still mostly recording the way I described to you earlier. As a group still. People would come and go. I actually didn't, much to my regret, I didn't get to meet Mr. Rogers.
I know.
I did come up with the idea, although Binky interacts with him in that episode really beautifully. Binky's kind of like, you know, really? Did you really hang out at Arthur's? And he's super dismissive, and it's
And he sings
classic
the
Binky.
song.
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
that beautiful day in the neighbor.
That's right. Yeah, that was a lot of fun to do. I came up with the idea of us all wearing cardigans. Um, that didn't happen, unfortunately, and I was really sorry to miss him. But I think too, Fred Rogers being on the show was kind of like a really important moment for us as a cast to realize that this was something not
Special.
important. Yeah, not important. That's the right word exactly. Thank you, Sasha. Not important, but yeah, special. Like we were privileged to be a part of something that was going to be special. Yeah, that was a thrill.
You probably don't remember any, but what are your favorite lines as Binky?
Yeah, that is so hard. I saw that question, and I mean, uh, I guess for me, the line I used for years to get myself in character,
What?
like we would, at the time you'd be recording several different voices, and now Binky's voice is second nature to me. If someone, sees me and says, "Hey, do the Binky voice," I can do the Binky voice. But back then, I would always use uh, the line, "Hey Arthur, come here or I'll pound you."
Can you
And
can you use Binky's? Can you try and say it in Binky's voice?
of course, "Hey Arthur, come here or I'll pound you." That was it. I mean, it's not necessarily my favorite line of Binky's, but that was the line that I'd use to like center in on the character and find the voice. Any line of Binky's where he's like, Binky's so passionate about something, and he believes so much in these crazy ideas he has, and then he can in an instant just flip and see the other side. And so any line that has that kind of element to it is a favorite Binky line of mine.
But it's good that you were able to remember the line to get into character.
Totally.
Do you prefer doing live action or animation?
I honestly don't have a preference. I shot a movie in March, April. It's a murder mystery thriller called Charlie Tango, and nothing. There was not a lot of comedy in it, and I hugely enjoyed that experience. It's been a while since I shot a feature. Um, Animation though has a special place in my heart just because there are no limits really. The only limit is the sound technician saying, oh, that was, you peaked, that was too loud, can you go back and do it again or step further away from the microphone. I love both of them, and it's something I wanted to bring up earlier when you talked about being an actor or a voice actor. They're really the same thing. You're telling a story,
It's
and
acting.
exactly, you have to, for the moments, for Binky's moments to be true and resonate, you're using the same muscle, the same tools that you use in a feature when you're, face to face with your acting partner. So yeah, I love them both.
What is it like recording the Arthur podcast?
It's been fun. It's been really neat because we're kind of going back and revisiting episodes and then inserting a new twist, and we're working with different folks who have their own kind of lovely take on it, that uh, so it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like this neat archaeology that you get to be a part of. You get to go back and go, oh yeah, I remember that, and then you get to kind of put a twist on it,
What do you mean,
which
like
is
working with different folks?
well, our voice director for the entire series is a great woman named Deborah Toffin. Deborah doesn't direct the podcast. It's a woman named Holly, and she's lovely as well. So it's just a different, yeah, a different crew, uh, a different feeling when you go back. And I think in the podcast we're kind of, not reverential, but we treat the episode as like the, what's the word I'm looking for? The Not the baseline, but yeah, we treat it with a certain amount of reverence, and so we only get in there and tinker as necessary, so it's fun to to go back and dive back into something with a different perspective.
And at least it means your Arthur journey hasn't ended.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know. I think as long as there's an appetite, there's going to be a journey for Arthur to travel for sure.
And are the people on who work on the podcast fans of the show as well?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it was nice to talk to you, Bruce.
It was lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for this.
Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.
Bye.